We are going to start class this morning in constructive rest. So you're going to place your feet on either side of your mat and come down nice and slowly. You're going to rest that left hand over your heart, and if it's hard to get there, say the elbows off the ground, you can use a block underneath that arm. Right arm is on the belly, and you're just going to close your eyes. And drop in right here, right now. Noticing the inhalation and noticing the exhalation. Nice and easy, smooth. Now you're just observing right now, but it should be the hand on the belly that is moving first, that is moving more. The hand on the heart should just be listening to that incredible symphony of your heartbeat. But the belly should be soft. They call this area the hara of the body, H-A-R-A. In Eastern medicine, it's considered the most holy part of the body. So you want it nice and soft so that the waters of the hara can move, the very core, the very essence, can travel to other parts of your body. Nice and slowly, you're going to gather your knees into your chest and just roll front to back, side to side. You can keep your eyes closed here. So you're just, again, trying to figure out where you have the tightness in the body. And then coming to a nice, easy, happy baby. So you're holding on to the outside edges of your feet. If the outside edges of your feet are not attainable right now, just hold on to the backs of the knees. Again, this is the beginning of your practice. Everything should be nice and easy. Nothing should be hard or rushed. You're going to gather that left knee into the chest and thread your hands so that they're right underneath the knee, and you can really hug that left knee in. You're going to shoot the right leg up toward the ceiling and then just point and flex the foot. Make circles one way and then the other. Marvel at the foot. We want to make sure our feet stay nice and open as it gets cold, as it gets slippery. They're our base, they're our foundation. So see if you can make your foot look like a paintbrush. You're trying to open up all the toes, and you're going to paint the ceiling, and then nice and slowly, it's as if you're trying to paint the front wall as you lower the leg. And then nice and slowly, you're going to lower that right leg all the way down to the earth. Against the tug on that left knee, can you lift the head, the shoulders, so that you can gaze at that right leg? And again, it's all nice and easy here this morning. If you have any issues with your neck being a problem, you can keep the head lowered. You're just trying to really lengthen that right heel. On your exhale, just lower everything down. Gather both knees into the chest and just notice the difference between that right side and the left side. That right side should feel just a little bit more open, even coming into happy baby. You should feel just a little bit more space. But we're going to even everything out. You're going to gather that right knee into the chest, interlacing your hands, have the opposite pinky on top as you hold back below the knee, and then point and flex that left foot. Start to make circles. See if you can make your foot really big so that you're trying to articulate the toes. And then it's almost like it's a half point, half flex foot, that paintbrush foot where you're trying to open up the toes. You're gonna paint the ceiling, and then as you descend and lower the foot, you're painting the wall out in front of you so that you're trying to get as much length and space. Once that heel lowers down, can you really lengthen it just any amount more? And then nice and slowly, head and shoulders come off. The gaze is at that left foot. And again, you want the belly to stay nice and soft here. How can you make it easy? One more breath here, and then gather the knees back into the chest for a happy baby. And then hug the knees, go side to side, back and forth just a little bit. You want to notice how much you've traveled this morning, what everything is feeling like. Again, you're going to gather that left knee into the chest as you shoot the right leg up toward the ceiling. This time, just point and flex the foot. And then paintbrush the ceiling, paintbrush the wall in front of you. Really lengthen that heel against the ground once the leg lands. Inhale, lift the head and the shoulders. This time, can you push? Palms are pressing toward that right foot, and you're almost nuzzling that left arm against the left leg. Easy breath here. See if you can lift one more vertebra. On an exhale, nice and slowly, you're lowering, and we're gathering the knees into the chest. Now remember, as we start to work on our core, our very center, you want to make sure it stays nice and soft, no gripping. Come into that easy, happy baby. Then you're going to gather the right knee in as you shoot that left leg up. Always a great opportunity to point and flex here. Create those circles if you still have those noises coming from that ankle joint. The ankle is where all of our proprioceptors, or most of them in the body, are. And that's basically where your balance comes from, right? So we want to make sure that those are on. And then flexing that foot, paintbrushing the leg out in front. You're going to lengthen the leg. Even when it hits the ground, you're trying to lengthen and solidify the leg down onto your mat. Then inhale, lift the head and the shoulders. You want to keep that right foot on too. And then you're going to press the palms forward. Really push forward here just a little bit more. One more in breath. Can you lift one more vertebra? That belly stays nice and soft though. Good job, guys. On an exhale again, nice and slowly you lower. You're going to gather the knees into the chest. Now we're going to do some twisting before we do anything else, so that you want your arms out like a T, palms down toward the floor. You're trying to bring your knees into the torso as much as possible, but keep your heels as close to your sit bones. Squeezing the legs together as much as possible. Don't just try to take them over. You're trying to take the knees up and over. So you're trying to take those knees into the armpit chest on the left side, or right next to the left elbow crease. And nice and slowly you're lowering the knees. Now they might not come all the way down, that's fine. You want to make sure your shoulders stay on the ground. Once you get to where you're going to go, you want to lengthen the top hip, that right hip toward the front of your mat. That's going to make the right side of the waist nice and long. Have it under traction now. So we're really working to lengthen here and create space before we work in our practice today. On your inhale, nice and slowly come up. Again, just notice for a moment the difference between that right side and the left side. No judging here. You're going to come into that happy baby. Notice that when you create space, how much more spacious those joints hip feel, especially that hip socket. You're going to squeeze your legs together again. Try to take the knees into the torso as much as possible. Heels to the sit bones if you can. Hands are down on the ground, shoulders stay here. And then nice and slowly squeezing the knees together. You're going over to the right. And again, just don't go over to the right. It's like you're going up and over so that you create as much length and space in the left side of the waist as possible. You're trying to drive that left hip toward the front of your mat. And then just breathe into all the spaces you're creating. On your next inhale, you're coming back. You should feel nice and even again, playing that happy baby. We're going to do 2 more twists here. Now, if you have an issue with your lower back and bringing your knees over was a challenge because you couldn't keep your shoulders down, you're going to repeat that. If your back was feeling good and that was not really that bad, you're going to shoot your legs up toward the ceiling. Shake them out just a little bit. Okay, now those of you who are going to keep your legs straight, you're going to keep your legs straight. Others are going to bend the knees and take them over. But again, same principle. Nice and slowly, you're trying to take your feet over toward your left palm. Right? Nice and slowly, the legs will go. Shoulders stay down on the earth. Once the feet land, you're trying to press that right hip toward the front of your mat to create as much length and space. You're breathing into that nice and steady. Bend your knees now so that you can take the legs back to center, back to the start, and then you're going to kick your legs up toward the ceiling again. Shake them out, shake them out, shake them out. Again, if you bent your knees to go over to the side that last time or straighten them, you're picking your poison right here. You're going to bring the legs together and then nice and slowly, you're taking them over toward your right palm. Squeezing the legs. Gaze can go to that left hand. Once the feet are down, you're trying to lengthen that left hip toward the front of your mat. Again, how much space can we create in between the rib cage? Then bending the knees, coming back, and just hugging the knees in towards each other. Noticing how much of your lower back is now resting on the earth. So I'm going to invite everybody to come back to that first pose that we were in, where your feet were on either side of the mat, knees were falling in towards each other. And just notice how much more is resting. So we were able to get rid of just a little bit of the tension and the stress. We're going to continue to do so. Crossing that right shin over the left, holding onto the tops of the feet. We're going to have a little fun as we roll up to a seated position. Once you're rolling up to a seated position, you're going to sit just simple cross-legged, but again, we want those feet active. So you're going to be on the blades of your feet, the outside edges, but the feet, you want them to look like those paintbrushes. Hands are on either side of your torso. Remember, we just worked on opening that back body. How can you narrow the hip points into the belly button so that that back body feels nice and spacious? Hands are on either side of our torso so that we're unweighting our lower back. On your next inhale, you're going to reach the arms up toward the ceiling. And then nice and slowly take a turn, a twist to the right. Left hand goes down to the outside of that right knee. Right hand back behind you. Pressing down into your sit bones. See if you can lengthen the torso as you shift your gaze over that right shoulder. And just enjoy the breath in this pose here, this asana. Nice and slowly taking a beautiful inhale here. On your exhale, you're just going to take that right arm up and over to the left. anchor that right sit bone down. Shift your gaze so that it's looking at the left knee. So it's like you're lengthening the entire right side again, but just a little differently here. Reaching from the sit bone right to the fingertips. On your exhale, lower that right hand down onto the left knee. And then you're just going to relax the head and the neck as you puff up right in between your shoulders. So I call this Slouch Asana. You're just pushing on back. Think of cat pose here. Nice and slowly shift your gaze up so that you can look forward. Then all you're going to do is lift your hands up toward the ceiling and interlace them. So now you're in Garudasana, eagle pose, the devourer of all stress and tension. On your inhale, tip the body up. On your exhale, you're trying to get your elbows into the belly. Relax the head, the neck. And then inhale, lifting again. Exhale, elbows come into the belly as you relax the head, the neck. One more time, inhale, lifting. Exhale, elbows into the belly. You're going to release the hands so that you can just walk them out in front of you. See if you can anchor the sit bones down. You're trying to press the hips back here so that we're getting into that back body, the backbone of the body. Breathing back behind the heart to make space. On your inhale, nice and slowly, you're sliding your hands back so that you can have your hands on either side of your torso again, pressing into the mat alongside of your hips so that you can create space. You're not crunched here. And from that space, you're almost going to bring the sit bones together. Really perch on your sit bones, engage the glutes so that when you lift, you're not collapsing. And then nice and slowly, you're shifting everything to the left. Right hand comes down to the outside of that left knee. Left hand back behind you. Again, pressing down. See if you can lengthen before you take that gaze over that left shoulder. And then just close the eyes and enjoy the breath here for a moment or two. One more full breath in here on your exhale. You're going to take and swing that left arm over to the right. Anchor that left sit bone down. Gaze goes to that right knee. Again, you're creating length and space on the entire left side. You can lean right just a little more, almost as if you're trying to kiss that right shoulder to the right knee. No tension in the back of the neck. On your exhale, lower that left hand down onto the right knee. And then we're all slouching back, relaxing the head and the neck. Should be able to rest in the arms. On your next inhale, shift your gaze forward. And then lift the elbows up. Again, you're going to ravel the hands as much as you can. See if you can press the chest into the arms, arms into the chest. Anchor those sit bones down as you tip on back. Gaze stays over the tip of the nose. The back of the neck stays nice and long. On your exhale, imagine somebody has pushed in your belly button. So that drives toward the back of the room. And then you're just relaxing the arms into the legs and maybe rolling side to side here. Again, so that we can tease the torso long right from the very base of the spine. Tipping up and coming into that little bit of a back bend here. Again, gaze stays over the tip of the nose. Nobody should be crunching that neck. And then exhaling, hollowing out. Unraveling the hands, walking the hands out in front of you. See if you can release the head and the neck. On an inhale, you're walking the hands back to the torso to become a little bit more vertical, more upright. Now you can either go right to a seated position or play with me a little bit here. You're gonna see if you can sit on just the ball mounds of your toes and your hands are gonna be out in front of you. Again, we're trying to get into those feet here a little bit. Squeeze the legs together as much as possible. See if you can press into the legs and just lift an inch. And then press into the legs, just lift an inch. And then pressing into your feet, nice and slowly, everybody come to a standing position at the top of your mat. So hopefully everybody's feeling a little bit warmed up here. We're gonna start our practice, start our sun salutations or our vinyasas. You're gonna come to the top of your mat. You're gonna inhale, reach the arms up. See if you can anchor the tailbone down. Really, the belly stays nice and soft here. Fingertips reach, gaze goes up toward the ceiling. Exhale, swan dive forward, hands come down onto the earth. On your inhale, bend the knees and shift the gaze toward the front of the room. On your exhale, left foot goes back so that you're in a low lunge. Here, see if you can get the hips on the same plane as that right knee. Take your right thumb into the right hip crease. You're gonna start to press that back as you shift your gaze over that right shoulder and back. And then just lift that right arm up toward the ceiling here. Nice, easy breath in here. On an exhale, you're gonna lower that right hand down. Bring that left knee down as you bring the right leg into runner's lunge. So runner's lunge, that right leg stays straight. Heel is down on the earth. You wanna make sure the hips are over that left knee. Walk your hands though, all the way over to the left so that you can fold forward here. And just notice what that does for you. Again, a nice steady breath in as we're getting into those hamstrings. On an exhale, you're gonna walk your hands a little closer to that right foot so that you can slide the right foot back. You want the right ankle to be right underneath that knee. You're just gonna coax the knee forward a little bit and then swim your hands back behind you, interlacing them. Shoulders are gonna come up and back. Chest is broad, but neck stays nice and long, so nobody should jam their neck up toward the ceiling. Let's just open the chest here a little bit. One more easy breath in. On an exhale, hands are gonna come down onto the earth and you're gonna come into a plank pose, top of a push-up. Now for this first one, we're gonna take our knees down, then chest and chin follow. Lengthen as you come into your first cobra. And then exhale back into child's pose for just a moment or two. Tucking those toes under, we're coming back into our first downward facing dog. So take that dog for a walk, right? We want to get into our feet, our foundation. You're over exaggerating the roll as much as possible here. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, really enjoying. And then pressing your hands into the mat. Can you press everything toward the back of your mat? Bend your knees so that you can shift your hips forward up toward the ceiling even more. Then you're gonna press the hips up as you try to straighten the legs any amount. Ears should come in line with the forearms. But if this is your first dog and you're tight, no worries. Smile, take in the day, take in the breath. On your next inhale, lift that left leg, really press the left heel back. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Then quietly lower that foot down. Again, you want the hips to be on the same plane as that left knee. So if you have to walk the feet back, that's fine. Remember, this is not gymnastics where we stick a pose. You're gonna take your left thumb into the left hip crease and start to press it toward the back of your mat so that you can lengthen the entire left side of the waist. Gaze goes toward the back of the room. Then you're just gonna lift that left arm up. Easy breath in here. On an exhale, take that left hand to the inside of the left foot. Right knee comes down, and you're gonna walk that left foot out to the left. Even if it's off your mat, no worries. You wanna press and flex the foot, and the hands are gonna come out in front. This is gonna help you get into we have 3 hamstrings. All right, so we're just working on getting the one that's more toward the mid of the body open. Hips stay over that right knee. One more breath. On your exhale, nice and slowly, you're gonna take that left foot, walk it back. You wanna make sure that that left knee starts right under, the left ankle starts right underneath the knee. Then both hands will come onto the knee. I do like to keep the toes of the right foot tucked under. And then I'm gonna coax the hips forward just a little bit. That's gonna open up that right quad. You're gonna swim the hands back behind you. Opposite pinky is on top this time. Anchor that tailbone down, shoulders stay nice and broad. Chin can even just rest into the chest. Doesn't have to. Gaze up. On your exhale, you're releasing and you're coming into a plank pose, top of a push-up. Here I'm gonna invite you, you can either come down knees, chin, chest, or roll forward on the toes, bend the elbows, and descend all the way down to the earth. Flattening the tops of the feet. You're gonna inhale and come into a cobra pose. Exhale back into your child's pose for just a moment or two. Then tucking the toes under. You're pressing up and back. Down dog, pedaling out those legs, over exaggerating the roll. Then shifting your gaze to the front of your mat. Your choice here, whether to step, hop, or jump as you travel forward. Make sure that your feet, you can walk them out now, are a little wider than hip distance apart, and you're just gonna sway side to side. So this is the end of the easy for everybody. We're gonna ramp it up as we go now. And then unlacing the arms, you're gonna lace them again so that the opposite one is on top. See if you can release the head, the neck. Shake it yes, shake it no. Then anchoring that tailbone down as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. You're gonna dangle the arms as you come up. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Nice and slowly. Heel toe the feet together. Now we're gonna come into chair pose, but take your thumbs in and underneath your armpit chest. You wanna think of suspending the torso as you start to bend the knees and shift the hips back. Now, how can you keep your chest this nice and broad? As you lift the arms up, lift the gaze up, belly should stay nice and soft here. Full breath in. On an exhale, you're swan diving forward. Hands come down onto the earth. Inhale, bend the knees, shift the gaze forward. Your choice, whether to step, hop, or jump back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Bending the elbows, descending all the way down to the earth. Inhaling, coming up cobra or up dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Again, pedaling out those legs. Over exaggerate the roll, pushing the palms in to press those hips up toward the ceiling. On your next inhale, float that right leg so it is parallel to your mat. Hips stay square. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Quietly float the foot down. You're gonna take that right thumb into the right hip crease. Again, you're gonna press back. Shift the gaze back. Lift that right arm up. Full breath in here. On an exhale to go a little deeper if you'd like. You're gonna swing the right arm toward the front of your mat. Pinky side edge down toward the mat. Thumb up toward the ceiling. so that you can press the palm back behind you and really just start to lean back. Gaze up at the ceiling. One more nice steady breath here. On an exhale, you're gonna lower your hands and come back into a plank pose, top of a push-up. Then everyone, bend your knees. Kickstand that left foot back behind you. You're gonna take your right foot so it's parallel to the back of your mat and lift the right arm up. So now we're coming into a variation of Vashistasana, side plank. You can stay right here, or you can slide the left leg back behind the right. Press the hips up toward the ceiling and start to lengthen that right arm toward the front of your mat, pressing your chest up toward the ceiling. So we're doing the same thing we did in that low lunge. One more slow breath here. On an exhale, we're coming back to plank. Again, I invite you, you can come down knees, chest, chin, or bend the elbows and descend all the way down. Inhaling, you're coming up cobra or up dog. Exhale back into that child's pose for just a moment or two. Close the eyes and watch the breath here. One more steady breath in. On your exhale, you're tucking those toes under and pressing up and back, down dog. Again, when it's slick and slippery, we tend to crunch our toes and make our base super small. So here is the opportunity right now, folks. We want to make the real estate of our feet very, very large so that there will be no slipping or falling. You're going to lift that left leg, really press the left heel back. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Quietly float the foot down. Again, I like to take my left thumb into the left hip crease as I come into this low lunge and press everything back. Lengthen that left side and then lift the left arm. You can stay right here, or you can take that left arm toward the front of your mat, press the chest up toward the ceiling. See if you can just lean back. One more slow breath in as we really just savor the breath coming into the body. On your exhale, you're coming back into a plank pose. Here in plank, just take your knees down onto your mat. Kickstand that right leg back behind you. Take that left foot so it's parallel. I also slide that right arm in so that I can stack the shoulders and come into this variation of side plank. Again, you're going to stay right here in side plank, or you have two options. You can just lengthen that top arm toward the front of your mat. That's going to get you nice and open. Another thing that you can do is take that right foot back behind you, pressing into the feet. Just turn the chest up toward the ceiling. Just savor the breath. On your exhale, you're coming back into that plank. Nice and slowly roll forward on the toes, bend the elbows, and descend. Inhaling, cobra or up dog, your choice. Exhale back into that child's pose. And again, take a moment to just feel the body, feel how the breath is moving in the body. See if you can slow the breath down, sip it in. And then tucking those toes under, you're up and back into that downward facing dog, shifting your gaze at your hands. Keeping your gaze forward into the future. You're gonna step, hop, or walk your feet to the front of your mat. Once again, I'm gonna invite you to walk your feet out so that they're a little wider than the hips. And you're just gonna bend the knees enough so that you can shift the hips up and shake that head, yes. Shake that head, no. Then anchoring that sit bone down, hollowing out the belly. Again, you're gonna come up vertebrae by vertebrae, ragdoll. And again, close the eyes here as you stand in Tadasana. Just notice the feet for a moment. And notice the breath. We really do want to try to keep it as easy and even as possible. Heel toeing the feet together again. You're going to take your thumbs into the armpit chest so that you can just start to sink the hips back. Again, you want that nice long line. So it's not how deep you go here today. It's about the space you create as you reach the arms up toward the ceiling. See if you can shift your gaze up. Exhale, swan dive forward, hands come down onto the earth. Inhale, bend the knees, shift forward. Exhale, step, hop, or jump. Bend the elbows and descend, chaturanga. Inhaling, your cobra or up dog. Exhale back through child's pose. Tuck the toes under and come back into that down dog. That'll set the hips up. Lower back will stay nice and happy. And you're just going to pedal out the legs here. Right foot, left foot. And then quiet everything down. And see if you can come into a balance, hands and feet. Be silent and just notice the breath. On your next inhale, you're going to float that right leg so that it's parallel, hips stay square. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Quietly float that foot down, take the back heel down so that you can reach the arms up to come into a warrior one. Here in warrior one, cactus the arms and start to take the elbows toward the front of your mat. Then you're going to pivot that left heel up and you're going to lift the left knee so it's higher than that left hip. You're going to squeeze the left leg around the right. Now, if you need to lower the toes down onto the earth or place it underneath the block, that's fine. You're going to reach the arms forward. Then take that left arm underneath the right as you come into Garudasana. You're just going to sink the hips. Now we're trying to get rid of all the stress and tension in the body. Squeeze everything in. One more breath here. On your exhale, nice and slowly, you're going to unravel. Reach the arms up toward the ceiling. Lift that left knee high. Then imagine you're placing that left foot on like a paddle. And you're going to push the paddle back behind you as you reach the arms forward, coming into a warrior three. One more steady breath in here. On an exhale, take your hands down for standing split. Here in standing split, shift those hips so that they're square. Look at that back foot. It should look like that painter's brush, pressing the heel back. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. One more breath here. On an exhale, you're going to lower that left foot so that it's alongside the right, and you're going to come into a squat pose. Malasana. Here in Malasana, place your elbows against your knees so that you can just wiggle out those hips, right? We're trying to create space. Beautiful poses here this morning. One more easy breath in. On your exhale, you're just going to lower your hands down, shift the hips up, and then walk on back to that plank pose. Now you can push back into a down dog if you'd like, or you can go through your vinyasa. Really your choice here this morning. Everybody's going to meet back in that down dog, pedaling out the legs. Again, remember, smile, warming up the breath, engaging the core, working on these feet. We're all together, safe. On your next inhale, you're going to float that left leg, press the left heel back. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Quietly float the foot down. Back heel comes down as you reach the arms up, and you're coming into a warrior one. So that back leg hip always wants to open to the back of the room. See if you can just coax it just a little more toward the front of the room. That's going to help you lift that right leg, and then take the right leg around the left. Again, okay to bring the toes down. The very morning, arms reach forward. Then that right arm goes underneath the left, and we're squeezing out the rest of the stress and the tension in the body. One more steady breath here. On your exhale, you're unraveling, reaching the arms up. Right knee goes higher than the hip. That's going to help you. You want to pretend that that right foot is on a plank and that you're pressing the plank toward the back of the room as you slowly reach the arms forward and come into the warrior three. No rush here. Exhale, hands come down onto the earth. Make sure you look at the hips, square them, and press that right foot back. One more easy breath in here. On an exhale, you're going to lower that right foot down onto your mat and just walk the feet out so that we can come into this Malasana, this low squat. Our elbows to the inside of the knees. Hands can be at prayer. We're going to go a little deeper on this side, this round. You're going to take that right hand out to the right. Make sure the right arm can nuzzle against that right leg. And then you're just going to lift that left arm up toward the ceiling. Again, the more you can anchor your sit bones down and reach through the fingertips, the more length and space you're making on the left side. On an exhale, hands come back to prayer. Again, you can notice the lightness, right, that we feel on the left side. Then you're going to take that left hand out to the left and reach the right arm up. Anchoring those sit bones down. How can you reach? If your neck is bothering you, you can always gaze down at the earth. One more full breath here. On an exhale, you're going to release. Hands are going to come down right at the very center so that you can just shift your hips up. Heel toe your feet together. Then brushing the earth, can you inhale and come into chair pose again? Squeeze the legs together, hollow out that belly, should be nice and soft here. Pressing back with the hips so that you can find the heels. You're going to press into the heels to straighten the legs. Narrowing those hip points and pressing the thighs back should allow you to start to reach back. And then the exhale, hands come to heart center. Again, close the eyes and notice how the breath is able to move through the body right now. How you're starting to unravel everything, that stress, that tension. We have just a couple of more vinyasas left. Brushing the fingertips along the earth. Inhale and lift. Come in and take the seat of chair pose, Utkatasana. Gaze shifts up. Full breath in here. On an exhale, you're swan diving, bringing the hands down onto your mat. Inhale, bend the knees, shift the gaze forward. On your exhale, you're coming back into a plank pose or chaturanga, bending the elbows and descending. Inhaling, that cobra, that up dog. Enjoy this for a little bit. Exhale back into that child's pose for just a moment or two. Then tucking the toes under. You're going to press up and back. Down dog. Again, you want to pedal out those legs. Every time we get an opportunity to make our feet a little bigger, a little bit more supple, a little bit more agile. You're going to float that right leg. Really press the right heel back. Press everything toward the back of the room. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. This time, quietly float the foot down. You're going to cartwheel the arms up for warrior two. Now here in warrior two, remember how I had said in that low lunge, we want the hips on the same plane as that front knee. Walk the right foot out as much as possible and see if you can get that right thigh so it's parallel to your mat. Warrior two is known as the best hip opener pose here, but we have to do the work. You're going to pivot that right palm up toward the ceiling and go ahead nice and slowly reverse the warrior, lengthening both sides of the waist. On an exhale, you're going to come back into that warrior two. Then you're going to swim the left hand to meet the right. You're going to take that right arm underneath the left and come into eagle arms once again. Really squeezing the arms in. You're going to inhale and tip up. On your exhale, you're trying to take those elbows into the belly as you nuzzle that right shoulder right against the right knee. Releasing the head, the neck. Really just trying to surrender here a little bit into the pose, right? How can we make the breath easy? That's the trick here. That's what we're looking for. Pushing into the feet, you're going to inhale, come up, unravel the arms, come into warrior two. Now I know you guys hate me because that right hip is screaming. That's okay. Nice and slowly, you're going to straighten that right leg and pivot the right foot so that both feet are parallel. You're going to take your hands onto your hips. Again, narrow those hip points into the belly. That belly should remain nice and soft. Anchor the legs down, scissor them towards each other so that you can just tease the torso long as you take this back bend. And then hinge the hips back as you walk the hands forward, relaxing the head, the neck. Right now we're in just a wide angle down dog. You can bend the knees here, go side to side just a little bit. And then quieting the legs down. You're gonna walk your hands back so that your wrists come right underneath your shoulders. Again, you're trying to press those hips back and try to make the torso as long as possible. Move that right hand so that it's right underneath the nose and lengthen that left arm toward the back of your mat. On your exhale, you're just gonna thread the left arm through, hold anywhere to the outside of that right leg. Then you can walk the right fingertips away so that you can take the gaze underneath that right arm. You're bending and trying to twist here. So press the sit bones up toward the ceiling. How can you just dangle the head and the neck? Please make sure that the head and the neck are not held hostage here in this pose. This is about lengthening. They should not be engaged. One more steady breath in. On an exhale, you're releasing. Right hand again lands right underneath your nose. Heel toe your feet in towards each other, just one step. You're gonna come onto the fingertips of the left hand, of the right hand as you take that left hand to your sacrum, anchoring the tailbone down, scissoring the legs in towards each other. This time you're gonna try to stack the shoulders as you lift that left arm up toward the ceiling. So this is a variation of triangle pose here. Maybe all of you can tell what pose we're gonna go into next. One more breath in, really scissor the legs down, anchor the feet in. On an exhale, you're gonna lower that left hand down. Nice and slowly, you're going to start to pivot on your feet as you walk your hands toward the front of the mat for Voluntarily, two straight legs. Here, make sure that left leg is at a 45-degree angle. Right leg is straight, and if you have a block, place it to the outside of the right foot. See if you can press your hips back as much as possible, narrowing the hip points into the belly. You're going to stack the shoulders to lift that left arm up toward the ceiling and take your gaze up. Again, narrow those hip points in, widen the knees away from you. Maybe you can take that left shoulder back and lean back. Triangle is both a back bend and a twist. Everyone shift your gaze down to that right foot. You're gonna bend the right knee, take the right hand out to the right so that the right hand can be a kickstand for the body. You're gonna lift that left leg up off the ground as you come into Ardha half moon. Again, watch that leg that's lifted is not scissoring back behind the standing leg. You should be able to see the whole thing. And then how can you press down? Take that top shoulder back, lean back. One more easy breath here. On your next exhale, just softening that right knee to come back into your warrior two. Again, this is not gymnastics. We do not stick a pose. Think of warrior two as surfer pose, right? You kind of want to navigate the board and be fluid in the pose so that you can get down to your optimal place. On your next exhale, cartwheel the hands down to either side of your mat. You're going to take your right heel to the very center of your groin as you walk that left leg back, getting ready for pigeon pose. But see if you can get the length in the torso, right? We work so hard all class long for that. So you almost want to press down, anchor the legs so that you can tease the torso longer and come forward. If your head doesn't reach the earth, feel free to use a block. Again, it's about the length and the space that we're creating, and we're just trying to keep it, create more. On your next inhale, walk your hands back to center so that you're more vertical, more upright. Again, if you have that block, it helps that your shoulders will stay square with the front of the mat, hips stay square. Don't be afraid to use it. You're gonna bend the back leg and flex the foot as much as possible. Nobody should be on the kneecap. If you can stay forward and on the left thigh and reach the foot, go ahead. If you find you come back enough to come on that kneecap, you're gonna stay right here. So if you're tight, you're not grabbing for the foot. You're trying to bend that left elbow up toward the ceiling and take it as wide as that left shoulder. These look wonderful, everyone. Good job. On your exhale, you're releasing. Come back into that downward facing dog. Just pedaling out the legs, over exaggerating the roll, placing that block maybe to the left side of your mat so that you're ready to flow that way. And then quieting everything down as you press your hips back. On your next inhale, float that left leg, really press the left heel back. Exhale, knee and nose, nice tight ball. Quietly float the foot down, back heel comes down, and we cartwheel our arms open. Warrior two. Again, you can see I start, and it's like a hill that my knee would have to run up to get to my hip. I'm just gonna move everything so that it comes in line. And I'm gonna stay in the pose, shift my gaze toward the front. Then pivoting that left palm up toward the ceiling. Nice and slowly reversing the warrior. On an exhale, I'm coming back to that warrior two. Then I'm gonna swim that right arm to meet the left. People always ask me, how do I know what arm ravels underneath? Whatever leg is in front, it is that arm that ravels under. So it's the left arm under right. As you come into eagle, and you're gonna tip on back. On an exhale, you're gonna try to nuzzle that left shoulder right against the left knee as you release the head and the neck again. It is not part of this pose. And you're feeling a little bit of the burn, that's okay, that's good work. One more steady breath here. Then pushing into your feet, you're gonna come on up, unravel those arms. Then straighten the left leg, pivot the left foot. Again, both feet are parallel. You can take your heels a little wider, toes can come in. This is if you're more open. If you're tighter, you're gonna have your toes go toward the right and the left side of the room. That's a little easier on the hamstrings. Narrowing those hip points in. See if you can tease the torso long as you come into this back bend. And then hinge the hips back as the hands come down. And you're gonna walk those hands out again. I invite you to bend the knees. You're gonna quiet everything down so that you can move that left hand in. You wanna make sure that the hand is right underneath the nose. Wrist is in line with the shoulder. You're gonna lengthen that right arm and then thread it on through so that you can hold anywhere to the outside of that left leg. And then you're gonna start to bend the elbows away, peel. Again, head and neck. Still nice and easy here. Not part of the pose. One more breath here. On an exhale, you're releasing, and the hands are again right underneath your face. Heel toe the feet in towards each other, just one step. That left hand is gonna come right underneath the nose. I do like to come onto the fingertips. Right hand onto the sacrum. You're gonna scissor the legs in towards each other so that you root them down. And then you're gonna reach that right arm up and you're trying to twist open here. Lean back. On your exhale, you're gonna lower and then pivot on your feet as you walk your hands toward the front of the room. Again, that back leg foot is at a 45-degree angle. Taking that block, placing it to the outside of that left foot. If you don't have a block, you can place your hand on a shin because you want to have space both sides of the waist so that when you turn, you're not losing the space down here. A lot of people reach for the ground, but crunch the left lower hip. So you want space as you come into triangle pose. Again, if your neck is bothering you, gaze can be down at that left foot. One more breath here. On your exhale, you are taking your gaze down to the left foot. Bend that left knee. Take the block out to the left as you float the right leg off the earth and come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. That floating leg foot should be working as much as the foot is on the earth. Remember, we really want to work the feet here. One more easy breath in. On an exhale, just soften that left knee as you float on back into that warrior two. Then you're going to cartwheel the hands down to either side of your mat. Take that heel into the very center of your groin as you walk the right foot back and come into pigeon, Ekapada Raja, Kapotasana. On your inhale, nice and slowly walk the hands back so that you're more vertical, more upright. Then you're bending the right knee, flexing the foot as much as possible. Again, you can reach for the foot so long as you don't shift back. Then you're going to press the foot into the hand, bend that elbow. Steady breath here. On your exhale, you're just releasing the foot and coming down and taking a seat, bringing your legs out in front of you. You want to have your legs as wide as your mat. Again, feet are nice and flexed. You want to think of slathering your legs down toward the earth as you fold forward any amount. On an inhale, nice and slowly you're coming up, but you're gonna keep those feet nice and bright. You're gonna reach your hands toward the front of your mat as you start to lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. And you're gonna come down, keep your gaze at your feet, vertebrae by vertebrae, gaze stays at the feet until the shoulders rest down on your mat. And you're gonna release the arms alongside the torso and rest. And just notice the breath now to where it was when you first started. Now, if you have a snow day today, you might want to just stay here and rest. Savasana is one of the hardest poses in all of yoga. If you have the time to sit and stay for 5 minutes, please just stay here. For those of you who need to start the day, just start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. But try to keep the serenity of your breath. You can make circles with the feet. Hopefully, notice the quietness there. And gather those knees into your chest to give yourself a hug. Come into that happy baby one last time. Your choice whether you're going to roll up to a seated position or roll to your side to come up to a seated position. Thank you all so very much for sharing your absolutely beautiful snowy Monday with me. Namaste.